Hello, hello, hello everybody. How's it going? Hello, hello. Alright, so, patron deck reviews. Yes, it is past November. I was traveling for Thanksgiving, visiting some family. Hey, Lunar Hades. I was traveling, visiting some family for Thanksgiving, so I couldn't do the stream that weekend, and then last weekend was a little hectic, so yo, what up, Brad? So November stream is now at December 10th, which means if you join the Patreon and you submit a deck, you can still get in for the December stream, which will probably be the first week of January because I'm traveling for the holidays again. Yeah. Oh, did somebody ask new here, how do you submit a deck? Yeah, the deck submissions are for patrons. So if you're yeah, it's for people on the Patreon. And yeah, I guess you get paid to get roasted. I don't know if I'm not necessarily like roasting anybody. I'm just suggesting things. Now, as you can see here, we have like 54 decks, I think, 55 maybe. Which means I gotta keep a brisk pace here. Yo, what up, Star? Is there an order to this? No, it's just kind of the order that Architect put it in. I think it's just alphabetical by deck name. Oops, sorry, my dog's here. Maybe you'll hear her. Hi. Hi, you're not helping with the stream. That's okay, dog. You can just sit there. November, December, family responsibility. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just Thanksgiving, and then my grandparents are in the country for December, so I'm going to be visiting them. Okay. I'm gonna make your deck number 1. Kess. Yeah, if you do that, it'll probably be it'll probably be the top list. All right, let's get started here. And Star, I already saw you're in the chat. So we'll just start with your list. Okay, so everybody in chat, you know, if there's anything weird with the audio or the stream, let me know. I'll move things around. Hello, Major League Nerd. It's a good username. All right, so loot. The new loot. This card is awesome, right? You play an extra land every turn, and then you activate it, and you just cheat creatures into play. Great card. Excellent card, you know? I, too, am chatting. Yo, what up, Warrior? Only 50 plus this time? Sounds easy enough. Yeah. I spent a lot of time on each of these lists, so it took a while, but that's why I had to close the submission so early. I sound fine? Okay, good. I changed the mic settings a little bit. What up, Ice Cream Swagger? Okay, so the way these works, because this is the first one here, is the deck list is sent to me by the patron. It's a 100 card deck list, right? And then the maybe board is what I'm cutting from their list, and the sideboard is what I'm adding to the list. So, a couple of swaps here. Azusa and Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Both of these. Yo, what up, Trevor? First stream I've ever been able to catch. That's good. Hopefully I'll one day get a more regular stream schedule. It'll be easier to catch these. Azusa, Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Great cards. Excellent cards. Your commander is a 3-mana creature that gives you additional land drops. These are also 3-mana creatures that give you additional land drops, so it feels a bit redundant, since it fits exactly the same role at the same curve, same point on the curve. So I just don't see where these fit exactly. Mossmore Hydra, it gets big and it's kind of funny, but it's only a 3-drop, so it's not that exciting to cheat into play. So that's getting cut. Rampaging Balos, I think this card kind of sucks. It's a little too slow. It just makes 4/4s. It's not actually that threatening. Loot is going to be in Aether Drift next I mean, he's definitely gonna be like the face. I like loot. I want to see more of him, to be honest. What if the commander is taxed out? Yeah, but if the commander is taxed out, then late game, you're just casting your bigger creatures anyway. Right? Because the point of these is you want to play them on turn 3 or turn 2 off of a mana dork or something. Not in this list, but you want to play these turn 3 and get your extra land drops to ramp. So why not just cast loot, you know? Yoshi, if you change cards like after I already put it in the architect list, it won't have affected it. So and then Myriad Landscape is going to be swapped for a different land. So here are my ads. Blighted Woodland, I think, is just better than Myriad Landscape because it enters untapped and can tap immediately. I think it's just a strict upgrade. Nightly Akinide lets your creature spells cost less, which is really great. And it's just like a big indestructible beater. It also lets you, because this is a high creature count deck, it lets you, flip off the top and get creatures. Soaring Microspawn. This is a Field of the Dead deck as well. If you want Field of the Dead, this is a great way to get it. It also lets you blow up opposing lands. There's a lot of utility lands in here, so the colorless mana isn't that bad. Wasn't Luke kidnapped by Valgavoth? I have no clue. I'm lost on the story. How can you send a deck list to look at? I feel like you'd find it pretty funny. This is from my Patreon. So if you're a patron, tier 2 or 3, you can submit a list every month. There's a link in the description to the Patreon. Another thing I suggested here was Tower Winder. You already had Command Tower in the list because it's a Field of the Dead deck. Great. So might as well play Tower Winder to help you grab it. It's kind of like an early cantrippy kind of card. It has Death Touch and Reach. It's actually pretty good. Winter is using loot in the race. Oh. Okay. Well then, I guess Winter and Loot are teaming up. And then lastly, I added a Vizier of the Menagerie in here. I think this is a card that so just got reprinted, which made it pretty cheap. And it's pretty great. You get to look at the top card and cast spells, or cast creatures off the top at any time, which is really great. And also, looking at the top card of your library has some weird synergy with loot, because if you look at the top card and you go, ooh, this is a great creature off the top, you can activate loot now and get value from it. How about just another time it's extremely jank Teeth Tribal? That's funny. Is there links for this list? I think in the description there should be a link to all of my architect decks. So the link should take you to my folders, and then you can go to Patron deck reviews, and you can sort by month, and then these are the November ones. So then you should have access to all of these. But also, I could just real quick throw this link in here to make it a lot easier. Okay, final thoughts on loot here. This is a really good deck. I think this is a sweet, high-power mono green deck. I just think these changes would make it a little bit more consistent. I feel like these are kind of duds in the late game. Dryad's not as good in this deck as it is in like a Gruul list because you don't have Valakut. But overall, sweet deck. I think it's pretty powerful. Seems very, very strong. Hey, what's up? I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. All right. On to... Okay, this is a list that I believe this patron played in a game on stream. Yo, what up, Celian Cross? And this is like a not magical hack deck. It's like a deck that messes with tribes and types. It's anti-tribal. So there was a few changes to this deck. I couldn't make 5 cuts because this one was very convoluted. This deck plays a lot of like weird changelings and things that turn types into other types, and then you can like turn all your stuff into dragons, and then like Crux of Fate or vice versa, I guess. It's very strange. You can destroy reflections, turn things into reflections. It's a cool deck. Here's a few changes. Bajuka Bog for Bogart Trawler, just a slight upgrade. It's another creature as well, which is relevant. This thing with backup seemed way too slow. I don't think it's very good. And then the Sarkon, you actually don't have that many dragons. I know this is a Tiamat list with like changelings, but there's a bunch of other random stuff that's just not a dragon. Like Knight of Autumn. So it just seemed a little meh. Ads. So Bogart Trawler, I already said. Maskwood Nexus. I was really surprised you didn't run Maskwood Nexus because, like, it feels like it lets you then tutor anything with your commander, and it lets you mess with, like, types. It seems right up the deck's alley, and it makes changelings. This is the one type of player I'm afraid of IRL. Yeah. Yeah. This user's great, though. He makes great decks. They're really funny. Hey, Trinket, quick question. Do you think the card Conduit of Ruin would work well in a loot list like that? Maybe. It's a bit slow. I actually used to play Conduit of Ruin in Modern. It's okay. I think it's a tad slow, is my opinion. It could work, but I would be hesitant to put it in. It's also it's a cast trigger, right, for Conduit of Ruin, so if you put it into play off of loot, it's not that great. Yeah, this deck is sweet. I agree, Brian. This deck is wacky. It's very silly. It's got a lot of cool things. Last suggestion was Horde of Notions, which could be the commander as well, not gonna lie. But it lets you cast your changelings from your graveyard. So you can cast your Crib Swap from your graveyard. You can cast your Amoeboid Changeling from the graveyard. It seems like really good recursion. And it's a 5/5 with Vigilance, Trample, Haste. It does get in for chip damage. So those are my changes. This was a really hard deck to come up with things for. So I appreciate you sending it in, and I hope these changes will be good. I don't know. It's very odd. This deck is so weird. This guy taps to destroy a Jin. Like what a crazy card, you know? Sweet deck. I love this deck. All right, we got Blues Clues by Funny Magic Gatherer. So this is the new Lannis, the one from the Clue set, right? It's a 1/2, has Evolve. Whenever one or more counters are put on Lannis, you investigate that many times. Then when you sack a Clue, you put a counter on another target creature you control, right? Young Turkey Boy. Yo, what up? Seems like, yeah, it is a silly theme for a 5-color, pile. But, like, that's the kind of 5-color deck I like, you know, when you come up with something weird like that. Okay, a couple of changes for this list. Archway of Innovation, strict upgrade over Island. And this card is like $1. It's so good. Tap your clues, cast your spells. It's awesome. Confirm Suspicions. It's a counterspell that makes clues kind of right up the alley. Playing Confirm Suspicions in a deck with Tamio's Journal is awesome, right? You get to counter something, get 3 clues, tap Tamio's Journal, just search something up. Like, come on, that's so sweet. Cyberdrive Awakener. If you're making clues, this is a really good way to finish the game. It turns all the clues into 4/4 flyers. It ends the game quickly. This card needs a reprint. It has gone up in price a lot. I usually don't recommend cards that are more than $10. Didn't I just mention this commander when on the podcast when talking about Simic? Lannis? I don't think so. Or at least not this version of Lannis. I don't think I've ever seen this Lannis before. Before this, user submitted the deck. Last change, Poison Dart Frog. Seems kind of slow. Swapped for Zimone. I think Zimone is pretty sweet to just double the counters on your commander. It can make it really threatening, or anything else you put stuff on. There's a card you're hoping that I considered for your list. If I'm remembering your list, I don't think I suggested any clue-making cards. Overall, this Lannis deck is pretty sweet. I like clues and artifacty things. I think the deck overall is pretty good. It's very well constructed. a lot of removal. It was well balanced in terms of his card draw. Sorry, my dog is making a lot of noise. Yeah, it's Simic but not Landfall. It's a clue deck, which is sweet. So I really appreciate this. Hopefully Cyberdrive Awakener gets reprinted, because otherwise it is kind of expensive. But otherwise, I think these other changes are pretty great. Archwave Innovation is just ridiculous. Oh, 5 CMC Counterspell. Oh. I do like my 5 CMC Counterspell, so I might have suggested one. What are my thoughts on Hour of Promise? I played in my Mono Blue Storm deck. That's the blue X one, right? In Stormless, it's quite good if you're playing like a deck that can get up to that much mana. Otherwise, I don't really play Hour of Promise in like... Oh wait, is Hour of Promise the green one? Hang on. My dog is confused as to who I'm talking to. Hour of Promise. Oh, Hour of Promise is a ridiculously good Magic card. It should go in like most green ramp decks. Cyberdrive Awakener is the blue Craterhoof. I agree. It is so good. Okay, moving on to Boros Bovine Blink by Toast. I love the alliteration there. Great name. Yeah, my bad. I was thinking of our Finale of Promise or something. Whatever the blue X one is. No. Hour of Promise is really good. So this is Bruce Tarl, Roving Rancher. It gives your Oxen double strike, which is funny. Then when it ETBs or attacks, you exile the top card of your library. If it's a land, you make a 2/2 Ox. Otherwise, you may cast it for free. A Last March of the Ants is another, that's another good like big finisher. But it's not like a ramp spell in the same way that Hour promises. So this deck was interesting. The tricky part of this deck is there are not that many Oxen in the game. There's a couple and they kind of suck. And you do get a few, like, changelings as extra Oxen. So here are a few changes. So Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. You're in 2 colors. I don't think you need these tap lines. Just swap them for basics. Easy. Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots. Not a huge fan of these in this deck. Especially Lightning Greaves. Lightning Greaves gives Shroud, which means you can't Conjurer's Closet your own commander to blink and get that ETB again. And make more Oxen. So, not a huge fan of that. And Lightning Greaves is like... You already have a lot of things like Cloud Shift and Ephemerate, which let you dodge spot removal as is. Just like inherently in the deck. So, if they're going to spot remove your commander, you might be able to just Cloud Shift it. And it's just kind of eh. You also have like other haste enablers and stuff in the deck as well. And other things that just have haste. So, I didn't think you needed it. 3 additions in addition to the 2 basic lands that I would say you'd cut for these things. Panoramaticon. This is an ETB blink deck. Might as well double up on it because we need more Oxen. Maskwood Nexus. Turn dudes into Oxen. And then the fact that Bruce Tarl gives your Ox double strike, this making a 2/2 with double strike is like way scarier. And then it's actually pretty good. And then Changeling Berserker. It kind of lets you do some ETB things with the champion, a creature, and it's an Ox, which you can give double strike, and a 5/3 with double strike and haste is actually not bad. So those are my changes. Otherwise, the rest of the list is pretty clean. I wouldn't do too much shifting around. What's the card you just said? Entish Restoration? Entish? Sacrifice a land, search. Oh, it's a Hera, right? If you control a bigger creature, you get 3. Yeah, it's just a better Hero when you think about it. And Hero's decent, if that's the card you want. Yo, what up, OTD? OTD. Okay, next is Did I just spell his name? Cavalino and His Vampires by Night Fighter 24. So this is a weird vampire commander. Whenever you attack, you target attacking vampire that isn't a demon, gains demon as a type, and then it also has when it dies, you draw a card and make a 4/3 vampire demon with flying, which is pretty cool. That's a pretty powerful effect. And it just says whenever you attack. So You can cast your commander and attack with something else and immediately get that effect. It's pretty fast, it's pretty great. Couple of changes. Vorpal Sword. I saw you have it in here. If it's a pet card, leave it in. I just think it's a little too win more. This Sauron. Yes, it does let you cheat a vampire into play, but like most of your vampires aren't like that expensive. And I think you'd rather just play a 3-mana vampire and then a 4-mana vampire next turn, you know? And then Dusk Angel Zealot. I just needed space for some more stuff. And I think this one was a little slow. Meat Massacre 2. When you're sacrificing creatures and messing with things like this card's quite good, and its price has slowly kind of tanked. I don't know if it's going to keep going any further down, or if it's going to go back up, but I think the card's quite good. Just good value here. Flare of Fortitude. Really awesome to protect your team, and sacrificing a creature, not that big a deal. Pronounced Cavalino? Cavalino? Is that it? And then last edition, Anawan the Rune Sage. This is a really powerful vampire. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player sacrifices a non-vampire creature. You're going to play a lot of vampires, so it doesn't really affect you, and it just forces people to sack dudes. It's pretty great. I think these three are like pretty great additions, especially Flare of Fortitude. I don't think it's going to stay at this price. Like, pick it up when you can. Otherwise, yeah, pretty cool list. You know, it's a vampire typle. You had, for the most part, all the good vampires, so there wasn't much for me to say. And you have a lot of, like, good support cards already. So I just think these small changes would improve the deck a little bit. Okay, Clement the Worryworth. This is a frog ETB. Pretty much like jalapeno. Okay. Clement Frog's ETB by Fluffy. So this is an interesting commander. It's like a vigilance 3/3, but more importantly, whenever Warrior Wart or another creature enters, you bounce a creature you control with lesser mana value to your hand. And then it turns all your frogs into mana dorks for creature spells. So what you can do in this deck is you kind of get to chain ETBs. So you cast your commander and then you bounce a 2-mana creature. Then you play the 2-mana creature and you bounce a 1-mana creature, and then you play the 1-mana creature, right? So, and then if you have like a Beast Whisperer, you're drawing cards off of all this, and you're just like getting value and flickering and bouncing and doing ETBs over and over again, right? Etc., etc. You know, all that good stuff. It's pretty cool. You know, this is great. Use a couple of changes. Aether Channeler, for 3 mana, I think its effect is a little mid. I think there are better 3-drops to be bouncing around. Cloud of Fairies, it's cute that it lets you untap the lands, but in this deck, I feel like we're kind of low to the ground and we don't need the mana that badly. Elvish Visionary is just the lowest impact one. It just cantrips for 2. And I wanted to swap out a few, I think, better options. So, Icefang Codal, I think, is better Elvish Visionary because it also ETBs to draw a card, but it has Flash and Flying, and it can get Death Touch. Which means if you're going to play Icefang, I would recommend swapping all of your basics for snow-covered basics. And then it's just a better Elvish Visionary. A Disciple of Freyalise. This card is really, really powerful in any creature-focused deck. It's a really good MDFC. I would potentially just cut a forest for it. Really great option. Thieving Skydiver, really good ETB. You can bounce things, steal things, bounce things, steal things. It's awesome. You yank everybody's soul ring. It's excellent, right? All this is really good. You'll notice that there's more than the cuts. There's a few things I wanted to suggest in a... hang on, let me get to the other one. Sorry, you cut a forest for Disciple. I just didn't put the forest here. The third ad I want to say is the other Lannis. If you're putting creatures into play, it gives you a lot of clues, and you just steal creatures. Lannis is really awesome in an ETB deck. I have 2 other suggestions, but they're kind of expensive. Timebinder actually I think has gone down in price. It was more when I was working on this, I swear. Really powerful ETB, really scary to bounce and just hold up in your hand. Shuts down things. What commanders have been reviewed so far? I think this is like the 5th one. So if you're on the Architect page, it's like the 5th. Yours hasn't come up yet. And then another card that is kind of expensive, so I wanted to have it as like a bonus suggestion, is Kinnan. But Kinnan is so good with mana dorks. It's a mana doubler here. It's crazy. And then it's an outlet for the extra mana too. This card's ridiculous. If you can afford it, I think this card is better than almost any 2-drop in your entire deck. So I would play it. Maybe don't cut the frogs, but yeah, Kinnan is nuts. No clue how you missed Disciple of Freyles. Yeah, Disciple of Freyles is crazy. It's perfect in this deck. It's really good. But yeah, these are my changes. I think that the Disciple of Freyles, Ice Fang, Lannis, and Thieving Skydiver are the main ones that I think are worth adding. I would just swap a Force for Disciple. And then the other ones, if it's in budget, I would add Kinnan and Tishana. But yeah, awesome commander. I love new weird commanders. And I know it's like Simic value, but it doesn't involve lands, and it ramps by turning frogs into mana dorks. And as far as Simic ramp goes, that's like the most fair, you know? Okay, here's your answer. We've done these 6. So we're on to Cool Dragons by Yoshi, who I believe is in the chat. Okay, so here, no, your cows. Oh, did you miss the cow one? Well, we already did it, but I can go back and take a look. Do we have a... Oops, sorry, hang on. Let's go back real quick. Just tuned in, no sweat. Here, we'll take a look real quick. Basically, I just said swap the tap lands with a couple of basics. Swap out these. I think they're a little too... you can already dodge spot removal with like Cloud Shift effects. Charming Prince was also kind of mid. And then just go harder, right? Panharmonicon, Mask with Nexus to turn everything into Oxen and make more Oxen. Changeling Berserker lets you reuse some ETBs and is also an Oxen. With haste, and it'd be a 10-3 double strike with haste. So, yeah. I'll have the VOD up, so... I'll have the VOD up so you can see my full longer review, but just real quick, it's basically some pretty minor changes. Your list overall was, like, really great. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to keep the pace a little up so this isn't like a 10-hour stream. Yes, Yoshi, okay. You're in here, and this commander, I actually hadn't seen anyone play this commander yet. This is an interesting, neat commander. I guess I'll just read it because people might not know what this does. 4/4 Flying Haste has hexproof as long as it entered the battlefield this turn, which is kind of funny. But the deck is called Cool Dragons and isn't the Ur Dragon. Yeah. Whenever one or more dragons you control deal combat damage to a player or a battle, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one in your hand, the rest on the bottom, right? And then you may return one of those dragons to its owner's hand. So it's kind of cool that it can like hit with hexproof, bounce itself back after anticipating. You can like replay it, and it becomes really evasive and hard to beat. Okay, a couple of changes. Sprite Dragon. I don't think you have enough non-creature spells to make this that good. It's kind of just a cheap dragon, which isn't bad with your commander, but your commander probably gets in by itself. Oh, you just built this deck? That's fine. Yeah, Zergo, it's a cool commander. I like this. Steel Hellkite, I think, is a little slow, and it's not like we're hurting for removal in these colors, so if you're like, oh, I need more enchantment removal, you can get enchantment removal. Hoarding Dragon, we don't really have sack outlets, so it's kind of going to steal your own artifact for a while. Because this is when it dies. It's not like you can bounce Hoarding Dragon to get the artifact back. Charitable Levy, I think this card sucks. I think it doesn't curve super well. And it just gets people to, like, attack you. So a couple of changes. Stroke of Midnight, I think, is just better removal than Steel Hellkite. We'll get to Possess Portal in a second. Obsidian Charma, bit of utility on the dragon, and you can still cast it for pretty cheap really easily. Lorien Revealed, I felt like you kind of needed a bit more card draw, or maybe some more mana, because you have a couple of big dragons. Lorien Revealed kind of fixes that. It lets you get an island, it lets you color fix, lets you card draw. And then Ephemerate, because we do have a decent amount of like ETB stuff. It's not bad to have. Lastly is Possess Portal. Possess Portal is like a weird stack piece that stops players from drawing cards, but your commander lets you put cards into your hand. It doesn't draw cards, so it lets you get around the Possess Portal lock. It's a bit of a different direction to take the deck, so I just want to throw it in there as a suggestion. You don't need to add it. Oh, you also recently cut. Oh, you cut Sprite and Hellkite for Ephemerate. Yeah, Ephemerate's great. Yeah, card draw's gonna be the biggest issue, so I really like Lorien Revealed here. I would swap Time Wipe. If you have no creature, you can just hold on to the back foot. Yeah, Time Wipe could be swapped for another board wipe, especially because Zergo can like bounce itself to hand, and then you can just board wipe and get your commander back next turn. So I could see that as well. A sweet list though. I think this is a fun commander. Hopefully you'll get more battles, and then the deck will be better. Yeah, good old Blast Act could be better. Okay, we got Deadbeat Dad by Zero Clark. Sorry, Alec, man, I saw your message here. Are you heading out soon? Do you want me to do yours next? I don't want you to, if you're here on the stream, I don't want you to miss out. So Edrixar is a classic commander, right? 5 mana 2/2. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you make X 1/1s where X is that spell's mana value. How about Shimmer Dragon for card draw with the treasures? I don't think his deck makes enough artifacts for Shimmer Dragon. Zergo Battle Tribal would be really funny. So here's a couple of changes for Edrixar. I think this is a great commander. You had a lot of good sack outlets, a lot of good sack fodder, a lot of good looping things. I cut the worst Blood Artist effect. It's 4 mana. This card kind of sucks. I cut Blood Flow Connoisseur. You had a lot of sack outlets. It's kind of one of the weaker ones. And Agent of the Iron Throne is really lame because it doesn't do anything without your commander. Couple of changes. Oblivion Stone. A deck like this really wants its graveyard, so having an out to a rest in peace type effect is really important. It's also a good board wipe. Into the Pit. This is really, really sweet. Yeah, Alec, man, I'll do yours next. Don't worry. Yeah. Yeah, Blasphemous Act has just always been good, you know? Into the Pit is a really awesome new card from Duskborn. You can look at the top card of your library anytime, and you can cast spells from the top as long as you sacrifice a non-land permanent. Cool, you sacrifice a Thrall, you get to cast off the top. It's so good. And then Gonti. This is another thing that I like to add to mono black decks. Like, you just play Gonti, and then sometimes you get to steal like a Beast Within, and then you have artifact and enchantment removal right there, which is kind of cool. It lets you break the color pie. I think he's great in a kind of slower mid-range deck like this. And of course, you can sack him, and you have ways to get him back, and you can trade the ETB again. Lastly, Gate to Phyrexia. Now, this is reserveless and really expensive, so I don't blame you if you don't pick it up. It lets you sacrifice a creature to destroy an artifact on your upkeep. It's one of the few ways to just repeatedly blow up artifacts in mono black. A really crazy card. I would also potentially recommend, but again, reserveless, pretty pricey. Hi Trigger, what's my opinion on Bag of Holding? I feel like I always end up cutting Bag of Holding as well, and I recently built a deck. I have it, you can hear the packaging here. I got a new deck in the mail that could have run Bag of Holding, and I've decided not to, because I think it's a little too slow. Land count for big green stop decks. It depends on if you're a Mana Dork deck or not. If you're a Mana Dork deck, you can actually go down on lands. If you're a big green land ramp deck, you need to be running 40 plus. I would be up to like 42. Gonti's the first rare I ever pulled. You have a crush on him? I love Gonti. Gonti's cool. I think the Aetherborn are very interesting, and I'm excited we're going back to... Oh, not Kaladesh. They renamed it. I forget the name of the plane now. Alright, Alec, man. Let me do yours real quick, because you're here, and don't want you to have to... Because you got work tomorrow. I don't want you to have to miss this. Oh, right. Yes, you were building a Sidisi Brood Tyrant list. Oh, did it not say? It didn't save my cuts. Oh no. All right. Well, we're going to we're gonna be live showing the cuts here, because it didn't save my cuts, and now I don't remember what I cut. So here are the ads to your CDC deck. Shriekhorn, super underrated self-mill card. This will show up multiple times in this stream. I love this card. It's 1 mana, enters with 3 charge counters. Tap, remove a charge counter, target player mills 2. You just play it and you start milling yourself. You start milling yourself, you start milling yourself. Yeah, they changed the name of Kaladesh because after Aether Revolt, and they revolted against the government, the people renamed the plane. It's like, there's like a lore reason for it. It's not anything other than that, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah, Avishkar. There we go. So Shriekhorn, great card. I love Shriekhorn. Old Stick Fingers. If you want to play like a mid-range Sultai deck, self-mill, Old Stick Fingers is your man. He's a big beater. He lets you, grab creatures. Awesome card. Hostile negotiations. You have Factor Fiction in here. What if you had 2 Factor Fictions? It's basically the same thing, but you lose 3 life because it's a black card. Otherwise, it's just Factor Fiction, which is a good card. So what are the cuts here? What are the cuts here? I'm really trying to remember what I had cut. Some of these lists I did a while ago, and I might not remember. Oh, yeah, okay. Patchwork Beastie, I think, is pretty slow in mid. I think Shriekhorn is just like a better self-mill card. Gosh, what else? You had something weird in here. No, the Soothsayer is pretty sweet. Oh yeah, Sultai Banner. Not a huge fan of this one. Doesn't curve super well into your commander. It does help you get your commander out a turn earlier. And then, you're not a super, mana-hungry deck, so you don't need the ramp that bad. I think it's better to just have some more value cards. And then lastly was, a land. You're very land-heavy. Honestly, now that I think about it, we could even put this back, and you could go down 2 lands. I believe Evolving Wilds was the one that I had cut, because not a huge fan of the card. But if you also have Terramorphic Expanse, we can cut this too. So, when looking at your list, it seems like a great CDC deck. There's a lot of things that I was initially thinking to add, but you already had in here. Snarling Gorehound, Shigeki, these are cards that people often miss over. They're great. I've talked about them a bunch. A lot of, excellent cards here. I just think you're a little land heavy. So I think the 2 cut is, not bad. Honestly, we could even maybe go further. Your curve is really low. And we don't have that much land synergy. What I think this deck is lacking is a bit more oomph, which is what I'm thinking about with Old Stick Fingers, because he's a big creature. We could. Oh man, Lord of Extinction. He's like an $8 card. I know this is a more budgety deck, but stuff like this. I put him in the wrong pile. Stuff like this, I think, you could even go higher on the, just big creature stuff and sort of have more threats and just go down on lands, which I usually don't recommend going down on lands, but I don't think you need that many. I got it. I thought it would it does. So the deck thinning is it's not that much percentage points you gain from it. And I think you churn through your deck pretty quickly with CDC in general, that the deck thinning is not that big. Yeah. Picked, I didn't know about. Picked purely because of flavor. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I think that just going down on these, it doesn't have to be Lord of Extinction, but I think you need more finishers. Brad, I can do yours next as well. We can go a little out of order because I don't want you to miss yours. This is a budget when I build it. I was going off price as a card game, not TCG player. Oh, okay. Well then, perfect. You got a little extra room. Yeah, Lord of Extinction. You know, it's not like I usually don't recommend cards that are $10 or more, and he's like a little bit below that. But I understand that like $8-9 is still a lot for one card. All right. Hopefully that helped. We can do Brad's real quick. Sorry, I know you gotta get to get to bed and get to work as well. Okay. Yeah, seems cool, but the payoff is low, exactly. Alright, Brad. So your list is pretty high power. This is a high power Valgavoth deck. I love it. I think it's quite strong. I think it's quite good. There was a lot of great things in here. It was difficult to find cuts for this. Oh, your budget was 80. Oh, then you had plenty. Yeah. Get that Lord of Extinction. That card's sweet. But yeah, Valgavoth is a sweet commander. I really like just like, oh man, you're playing the Gilded Lotus, the Worn Power Stone, the Throne of Eldraine, the Thran Dynamo. Like, we are ramping into Valgavoth. Yo, good night, Alec, man. We were ramping into the Valgavoth. I love these big man artifacts. This is like super. This is exactly what I want to see from Valgavoth. Couple of changes. I think some of the incidental sort of one-off discardy effects are a little slow. They're just a little bad to play before your commander, but your commander's a 9-drop, so these are commonly things you're going to play before your commander. So I'm like, I'm very iffy on them. And we don't have that much value from drawing outside of Geth's Grimoire and Waste Not. It just seems a little not super good. So here's a couple of changes. I think we just do more black mid-range. Your commander will eventually win the game. This is a 9/9 with flying, lifelink, ward, sacrifice, 3 non-land permanents. The late game is yours, right? You resolve this bad boy and we can get in there. We just need more grindiness. Meat Hook Massacre, phenomenal for that. Gonti, Lord of Luxury, also great. I was talking about him earlier. I love Lord of Luxury. Mid-game, this card is phenomenal, right? You draw a card, and then you draw a card, and then it's a 2/3 with Death Touch. Nobody wants to attack you. It lets you survive later. And then Spymaster's Vault, I felt you were a little land light at 35, especially considering Cabal Coffers is kind of sometimes not a land. So I just wanted to add Spymaster's Vault. I think this card is really good. It almost always enters untapped in mono black, and then you get to Connive, which putting counters on your life-linking creatures is really great. And this deck has a lot of like graveyard synergies, so you don't mind looting into the bin. We have like Feign Death, not Feign Death, sorry. We have, am I getting your list a little confused? Do you not have any reanimation? No, you don't actually. Okay. The conniving is still good, just because like it's card draw on your land, which is the most important part. Sorry, 54 lists or whatever I get. Sometimes I get my spiel's a little confused. But Spymaster's Vault I still think is worth adding, and I think you just need another land. Thought Vessel seems a bit superfluous. Yes, it does. That said, it's fine. It's like a 2-mana rock, It's not that bad. One thing that I would say is I might consider just cutting the rest of the discard package, like Geth's Grimoire and Waste Not. Or maybe you go harder on it. Yo, what up, Doctor? Given Valgavoth is 9 mana, would Graveyard Return be worth? That's actually not too bad of an idea. I could see let me make this change here. Let's make this suggestion. I think that the discard synergy might be even a little win more, and we could actually just have like stitch together. And whoops, that should be going to the sideboard. Where did stitch together go? we could have a stitch together and a, like animate dead in here. And I think this would be like really great as well because you have other good ETBs, like animate dead on a fleshbag marauder when you need it is not bad. Yeah, necromancy is another good one. You know, so I think there's a lot of like good stuff here, and I just think that the discard package is a little, it's like doing too much if you want to just be ramping into Valgavoth, you know? Yeah, animate dead, the Dread Return's another one. Can I see your additions on your architect? Yeah, they should be. It should be everything on the sideboard. Are you not able to view the Valgavoth list? I'll put it in the chat here for you to check out. Here you go, Brad. Yo, what up, Ruby Storm? But yeah, I think we cut the discard stuff. You know, I like the Siphon Mind because it's like card draw. And I think that this type of incidental discard is a lot better in this list because Siphon Mind works great without the commander, you know? So that's what I gotta say about this. I love this commander. I think this Valgavoth is so sweet. This Valgavoth versus the other Valgavoth is very much inspiring a video that will probably eventually come out. I don't know when. But yeah, I like this deck. It's pretty sweet. I love mono black mid range, so. Okay. Back to going in order. I hope that was helpful, Brad. We did this one. Now we're here. Yo, what up, Zosphos? Alright, this is a Joyery and Rune Diver deck. Yeah, Valgavoth feels like old EDH. I agree. Okay, this deck was like this is like a really high power, like, is it stormy kind of deck. So a couple of suggested changes. As foretold, this card is slow as dirt. It's so bad. I don't think it's worth it. I really don't like As Foretold if you can't proliferate. Clairvoyance, drawing on the next upkeep's kind of awkward. I feel like maybe there's some better things we could do. Mental Misstep. I don't even play this card in CDH. I think this card sucks. It rots in your hand all the time. Maybe it's a meta call for you. I don't know. I hate this card. Additions. Trinket Mage. Trinket Mage works really well with Rune Diver. You cast it, you can immediately get like a Mox Amber, and then that's your second spell turn, boom, draw a card. And then that allows you to hold up like a Brainstorm or an Offer You Can't Refuse or something. It just curves really well in this type of deck. Is this supposed to be a CDH deck? This is not a. There's no way this is a CDH deck. The Patron did not tell me it's a CDH deck, but like Arcane Bombardment, Eye of the Storm is way too slow for CDH. There are many pivotal cards in CDH that are 1 mana. Offer You Can't Refuse is a common card. Red Elemental Blast. You know, it can be great, but Carpet of Flowers, right? Those are all good 1 mana cards. But also in CDH, there's a lot of pivotal 0 mana cards and a lot of pivotal 2 mana cards. And the fact that this hits neither of those really, really sucks. Mental Misstep, it doesn't counter Ad Nauseam. It doesn't counter Thassa's Oracle. It doesn't counter the 2 mana card that combos with Oracle. It doesn't counter Through the Breach. Not Through the Breach. Underworld Breach. It doesn't counter Underworld Breach. It doesn't counter Lion's Eye Diamond. I just have so many problems with Mental Misstep. It's just so many key cards it doesn't hit. It's too narrow. Other addition, yeah, I added myself to this deck. It's good though. It's perfect. You don't see these often. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are not. I think this is just high power, casual. This deck is like way too slow for CDH. Like Lightning Axe is not a CDH card. Teferi Mage of Zalfir. Since this is a high power deck and you're already playing Knowledge Pool, you can just play Teferi. That's a 2-card combo. And then if we're already doing all these shenanigans with like Mana Flare and Eye of the Storm, just put Reservoir in there. Like otherwise, I don't know how you're actually winning these games. So those are my suggestions. Yeah, Negate is just better than Mental Misstep. I agree. Yeah, it's 2 mana over 0, but it actually hits things. You can't run Teferi. Why can't you run Teferi? Is this your deck? Is it a mirror? What are my thoughts on Arthur Morning Gold Knight? I actually don't think I know what that card is. Arthur. This? You may put a creature from among them about a tap tonight, but there's. Oh, it's kind of funny. It's like a sneak and show deck. It's not bad. Not my type of deck. The MH3 Is It counterspell is good, but I didn't want to recommend a 3-mana counterspell in a deck this low of a curve. How come Mental Misstep is valued so high? Like monetarily? I mean, in 1v1 Magic, Mental Misstep is one of the most broken cards ever printed. I mean, it's a vintage staple. It got banned in Legacy, banned in Modern. It's insanely good. Yeah, Lucky Owl's right. It's just one of the most absurd cards of all time. Yeah, if you like Negate, by the way, Logic Knot is another cool card. Logic. Oops, that's the wrong card. Logic Knot. Logic Knot is just counterspell number 2. Counters a spell unless they pay X, and there's an X in the cost. But you can delve. You can just exile random cards from your graveyard, counter it unless they pay 5. It's basically a counterspell. It's pretty cool. Alright, this was an interesting list. I wonder if you just want to add... I mean, I know you can do the Hullbreaker horror combos here with Mox Amber Soul Ring, so another reason that Trinket Mage is good here. Maybe you add Mana Vault, although I know Mana Vault is really expensive these days. Yeah, Logic Knot's cool. It's a sweet card. Okay, Delina. It burns when I roll. Great name. Delina makes copies of things. You like roll d20s. It's pretty cool. Here's a couple of changes. Pyroblast. Maybe this is a meta call. If it's a meta call, keep it in. But I don't like Pyroblast in casual EDH. I run into too many pods with no blue decks, and your deck isn't looting away too quickly bad cards, so like it might get stuck in hand. Glittering Stockpile. Your curve is kind of low. I don't think you need the late game mana. Deathgreeter's Champion, it's a bit slow. It's not that impactful. Backup 1. Bray's Apprentice I also think is kind of slow, and it doesn't let you sacrifice creatures, so you don't sacrifice the token. It's not that great. Logic Knot is not as good early game, agreed, but in Casual Commander, you often don't need to counterspell too early, so I don't mind it there. I do like the Metalcraft counterspell. Do I think Carpet is bad for that reason? Carpet of Flowers? No, Carpet of Flowers is like ridiculously good. But Carpet of Flowers is basically free. It's basically like 0 mana. Oh wait, sorry, do you mean for like Pyroblast? Oh, do I not like... Yeah, I don't play Carpet of Flowers in casual EDH either. Too many pods without blue. But it's a meta call, you know. If you got a lot of blue at your tables, go for it. Okay, a couple of changes. I saw you running Blood Moon. Put the other one in there. Why not? Mimic Vat. This is kind of like a second copy of your commander. You get the same ETB every turn. Pretty sweet. The new Overlord. Really awesome to make copies of this dude. He's pretty strong. You can also Impending it early to just kill a creature, and then it comes down later. Yeah, really great. And then Trumpeting Carnosaur. Discover 5 is huge, and getting to do that every turn is like so much value. It'll win you games. Do I like the untap counters like Rewind? in like draw go control, like proper draw go, where you're really holding up all your mana, the untap counters are excellent. Outside of that, I think they're kind of bad because you usually have to hold up like 3 or 4 mana. But I like them in the right deck. Delina's a cool commander. I like overall your list. I think it's pretty great. I just think you need a little bit more damage, a little bit more finishing power, you know? Get some of these in there, a bit more disruption with Magus of the Moon, and then Mimic Vat's also great, this type of deck. Yeah, Trumpeting Carnosaur is just so good. It used to be kind of pricey because of the combo, but then the combo got banned in Pioneer. Okay, here we have a demon deck. So this is like the one thing to note about this list is the mana cost of all these things is really high. Like this is a high curve deck. So I appreciate the sneak attack in here. Couple of things to cut. Ward of Bones didn't seem to make sense to me. How do you know of any lands good with ETB effects like Surveil lands? I mean, there's the Scry lands, the original temples. Scrying one is not that bad on ETB. I've blinked those for value before. I have not done your Tiny Bones Brawl deck yet. No. What up? What up? Thoughts? Thrutons? Air? Yeah. No, I haven't done your Brawl deck yet. This is your friend's deck? Oh, cool. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Ward of Bones seemed a bit out of place. I wasn't quite sure what we're doing here with this. Sword of Hearth and Home. The swords are good when you have cheap creatures to wield them, especially this one that ramps. We don't have cheap creatures that wield swords very well, so it's just kind of eh. Then Brainstorm. We're not a Spellslinger deck. I don't think cantrips are very good if you're just playing them randomly. This deck needed removal desperately. I felt like it really needed some removal. So, Bedevil, really great. Grixis removal, or Rakdos removal. Delay, super great counterspell. Negate, could be a Logic Knot as well. I just think it needs some removal, and we cut some of the chaff. Yeah, Sneak Attack's awesome. Sneak Attack is sweet in this deck. Like, Sneak Attacking in Rakdos, the Showstopper, and your Demon deck, excellent. The life gain ones, if flickered hard enough. The life gain what? Yo, what up, Versatile? Yep, we're doing deck reviews. Oh, Hytheroth made a Nekusar deck. So Nekusar, been done to death, right? We all know this. What are the purpose of cantrips? You know, I have a whole script about how cantrips are like overrated that I just never made a video on. I just kind of have the script. Maybe I'll make it. I need a better conclusion. You're just making the most stupid abomination of a deck? Hell yeah. That's perfect. Okay, so a couple of changes here. We had a lot of like damage doublers in this list. Arguably too many damage doublers. Because you don't need that many damage doublers. Nekusar really kills people pretty fast. So I trimmed some of those. I think I just trimmed all damage doublers. There was like 4 damage doublers, and there's more damage amplifiers. So, yeah, we had a lot. It was too much. So a couple of changes. Whirlpool Warrior is another wheel that a lot of people forget about. Red Death Shipwreck. This is some cool Nekusar tech, I think. It goads a creature, it gives you a mana, and then draws that player a card. So you force the creature to attack not you, and it draws them a card which does damage. Kind of cool, I think. Grievous Wound. This is way better than a damage doubler. Because this plus a wheel will just like kill a player. And then Forced Fruition is a card that also ends games very quickly in this deck. So a good addition, I think. Those are my changes. Yeah, too many damage doublers, not enough other things. That's my take. Roaming Throne... My problem with Roaming Throne in this list is, like, if your commander's not in play, it doesn't really do anything. Yeah, in EDH, it's hard to get that many cantrips in mono blue. Maybe I'll make that cantrip video. I don't know. Okay, Black Zoid made a Flubs the Fool deck. This is a cool card. Whenever you get an extra land on all of your turns, and then whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card if you have no cards in hand. Otherwise, you discard a card. So you want to get Hellbent. You want to have no cards in hand, and then you cast a spell, and it draws you a card, and you cast a spell, and it draws you a card, and blah, blah, blah. So a couple of changes. Renin 6. I'm not a huge fan of it in this list. I know it gives you, like, lands back to your hand that you discard. But other than that, I think it's not that good. It's kind of too slow to get to that ult. People will attack you first. I assume you have Ulamog and Kozilek in here as ways to shuffle your graveyard back into your deck. That's cool and all, but if you're going to have that, I think you only need one. And then Grabby Giant seemed a little slow. A couple of changes. Stone Coil Serpent. This card is cool if you have excess mana. You can just play a big dude. And it has, like, good keywords. Like, if it's big, it's actually pretty scary. But also, you can cast it for 0 mana and just cantrip with it. It's just another 0-drop artifact, like all these other ones you want to be playing. 6, if you're going to be discarding cards, or, in the case of Flubs, if you draw too many lands and you don't have more things to cast, you can discard that land to 6's ability, cast a 0 mana, 0 mana artifact or whatever, a Lion's Eye Diamond, and then draw a card immediately. And then Reclaim is pretty great in this type of, like, cantrippy list. It lets you, like, loop things over and over again. Abundance and Song... they already have Abundance. Song of Creation could be good. It is... Maybe it's a bit more. I don't know. Flubs is cool. I agree. I did separate 6 from Ren. That's funny. Cool Flubs deck, though. Very nice high power list. Have you tried the CDH version? It's pretty sweet. Okay, Misclick Top wanted to play a Saruman control list. So I have a few suggestions. Vicious Rumors. Too slow, too... it's just, like, too low impact. Mind Splice Apparatus. Not good. You cast this, and then next turn it gets you, like, 1 mana. And then the turn after that it's, like, 2, right? But, like, we're not casting 10 spells in a turn, because this isn't a Storm list. We're just casting 2. I think it's too slow. I think it's just worse than a Mana Rock. Ink Shield, I don't know. A lot of people seem to think this card's really good. I'm kind of mid on it. And you don't want to hold up this too much, because you want to cast a cantrip and then a big spell. So a couple of things. Damn, I thought you could use another board wipe. The Primordial, this is really great for stealing more spells, kind of fits with the whole theme. And Talon of the Telepath, mills your opponent and lets you cast spells. It's pretty sweet. Spellmaster is easy to hit. This card's pretty fun. It's not very good, but it is fun. And then Primal Amulet, I didn't add another cut for this because this is like a $15 card. I didn't want to recommend too many expensive things. But it's really powerful in a deck like this, letting you copy spells, having them... This lets them, cost 1 less immediately, unlike Mind Splice Apparatus. So, I would add this potentially cutting... maybe Promise of Loyalty for it. Or maybe you don't need to add Damn, you can add Primal Amulet, if it's within budget. Let's see. But yeah, overall, I think this is a fun list, though. I like Sauron the many colors. I've really considered building him, but kind of just never got around to it. But yeah, Ink Shield, I don't know. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Inkshield is exactly that spot of card that seems good because of high ceiling but low floor. Exactly, and you want more proactive cards in this. You want more proactive cards than Inkshield because you want to be able to cast and cast. You don't want to cast Inkshield into nothing. Oh, you're not sold on Primordial. You had it in an earlier version and it didn't have that good targets. I mean, that could be a meta call, right? Is like, if your meta doesn't have too many spell-slingering effects, maybe it's not that good. Then I don't know. Sorry, this is the misclick here is the user who made the deck. Then I don't... Is Primal Amulet in budget? I know it's like kind of on the expensive side, but like, Primal Amulet's crazy. This card is the real deal. Yeah, Fog's base mana value is 1, exactly. Is Mystic Sanctuary sus? No, Mystic Sanctuary is great here. Nah, Mystic Sanctuary is good here. Being able to cast like Extract from Darkness, and then next turn Mystic Sanctuary and like set up for another big Extract from Darkness is great. Maybe you already have, but Sauron is a caster. Does it? It doesn't copy the cast, but it's just good by itself. You get what I'm... It's not particularly good with the commander, it's just in this style of deck, it's very good. Just getting a double Swords to Plowshares is great. It doesn't trigger your commander, you're correct, but it's just a powerful card. Oh, you mean getting the Mystic Sanctuary online? I mean, there's 6 islands. Plus, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like 10 islands. It's fine. At worst, it's a tapped island. It's not that bad. And they can reset it with the Chancellery. I think the Mystic Sanctuary is fine. I don't think it's bad. Is a Band of Honor? Yes, it is a Band of Honor because everybody would just Cryptic Command, counter your spell, bounce Mystic Sanctuary, play Mystic Sanctuary, put Cryptic Command on top of my deck, and they just did that forever. You thought about replacing Extract from Darkness for Eldest Reborn? I mean, Eldest Reborn is also good. I would say. I think. Eldest Reborn. It's not. Is it the eldest? There it is, the Eldest Reborn. That's why. I do like the Eldest Reborn. The only downside is it's not an instant or sorcery. I agree the mana base could have some fetches, but it has so many duels. I doubt you actually struggle with color fixing. Right? Like, I think people overthink the mana base too much sometimes. I think just having a bunch of duels like this is fine. And it's not in, like, you have color fixing in your rocks as well. Also, Windfall Lake, I don't know, maybe I just want to... I'm giving other people... Yeah, I agree. The Windfall is, like, iffy in that sense. I don't know. Windfall has good synergy with the commander and, like, Memory Plunder and stuff. I think the Windfall is going to be a meta call. If you think it's difficult to control what your opponents do, and it's hard to play control into your meta, you cut Windfall for other card draw. If not, if you think people have kind of slower decks, then Windfall's probably fine. No, this deck can double cast pretty easily. You get Snap, you have Path, you have Swords, you got Mission Briefing, Frantic Search. This deck can consider as well. This deck can double cast pretty well, I think. I think it's not that crazy to double cast in this deck. Yeah, but then you're playing Narset for like a different separate thing. Yo, what up, Yoshi? Good luck on your exams, my friend. Overall, I mean, this deck's pretty fun. I think it's a very difficult deck to make because it requires such a specific thing. So it's really hard to tune a list like this. So I would say try these changes out. Maybe don't run the Primordial if you've already tested and you think it's bad. But try these three for these three. See if the Primal Amulet just feels good as a control piece. Yeah. Yo, what up, Will? Oh, you built the 6 stack. Okay, yeah, we'll get to that. We haven't gotten there yet. Okay, gave Guru of Spores. Now, if I recall correctly, this user was trying to avoid combos, which is very hard to do with this. And we're playing a fungus deck. Or is this not the fungus deck? No, this is the fungus deck. Finale of Revelation. Is that the blue one? Is that blue X? Yeah, no problem, misclick. Hopefully that helps. Fungus. This is a fungus deck. There's a lot of fungus things in here. It's very funny. Use a couple of changes. Nadir's Nightblade. This is way too slow. Pledge of Unity. Seems kind of like mid life gain. Finale of Revelation. Okay, it is a blue one. Yeah. The blue X. It's good in Storm decks, but I don't really play it anywhere else, to be honest. Maybe you could play it in like a Simic big mana deck. So, pretty minor changes here. The Nightblade swap to Blood Artist is just better. And then add a Dawn's Truce. You could even add more of these types of effects, but it's just an example. You make a lot of creatures, and you don't have counter spells, so we need ways to protect ourselves from board wipes, So, you could even add more of these. Clever Concealment, Teferi's Pro, Heroic Intervention. Those are all kind of pricey, but things like this that give just add damage. Marionette Apprentice is probably better than Blood Artist, right? Maybe. Another creature artifact by the graveyard. No, because each opponent loses 1 life, whereas this drains, so you also get to gain life. So it's not a strict upgrade, but either or. And then Vault of the Archangel. I think you just cut like a basic for this, because I think this card's awesome. If you're making crappy Saprolings, giving them lifelink and death touch is really good late game. Otherwise, not too many changes because you kind of have all the good fungus creatures, and there's not that many more for me to suggest. So, yeah, that's the problem with these types of decks. I can't make too many adjustments. So just, some protection, some better Blood Artist things if you want to do that, and cut a land for Vault. Okay, Gromp Economics, I believe, is in the chat here. We have a glistening artifacts. So this deck is awesome. It's a salvaging station deck. This is a bauble deck. It's so sweet. I love it. Oh my goodness, why can I not read this user's name? His. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's like black on my screen, so I couldn't read that. Here's a couple of changes. Life in the Loam. I don't think we do enough land-based things for this to be worth it, even for the self-mill. Mer Retriever. Our whole deck gets things back from the graveyard. You don't need another effect. And yeah, a narrow one like this, I think there's a better... You could just have a more broad effect for this, Yeah, what up, Gromp? So these two, I think it's just too narrow in what they do. Flare of Malice, I don't know. It just forces everyone to sack a dude. We have we have tons of targeted ways to destroy creatures. I think there's better sack effects. Speaking of which, Vona's Hunger is a way better sack effect. I know you can't cast it for free with Flare of Malice, but this card is ridiculously good. A Junkwinder is the same as Mirror Retriever, right? Is Drunk Wander in here? Did I miss Drunk Wander? Oh, Junk Diver. Yes. Yes, I missed this. And let me put this in the maybe ward as well. Fix that real quick. Good catch. I didn't notice the Junk Diver. Oops, I put this in the wrong category. I keep doing that. Avoda's Hunger. Really great sacrifice thing. I think it's going to be way stronger than Flare Malice. The new Rendemaw. This card is sweet. It causes a bunch of creatures to die, which is very cool. It triggers your commander a lot. You can trigger it very easily with your artifact creatures. I think this is a sweet card. Regrowth and Eternal Witness. I know these are artifact creatures, right? And you're like, oh, I can regrow my artifacty things. How many regrowth effects do you need in a game, you know? Especially considering we already have other recursion with the salvaging station and, I guess, Portal to Phyrexia, right? We have other recursion, so why not just make it more versatile recursion, I think. I think the artifact type is not worth the narrowness. Like, you already have Timeless Witness in here, I think, for the same reason. Skullwander works fine if you want to politics, but I feel like this type of deck, you're going to lose the politics battle too fast. So that's why I wouldn't say Skullwander. They were in there for an infinite with KCI, but you moved... Oh, I see. Wait, is it... Did you cut KCI? Is it still in here? Did I miss it? You do have KCI in here. Oh. Wait, do you... How are you doing the KCI combo? Do you have Chromatic Star? No, you don't have Chromatic Star. What are you using for the KCI combo? A Scrap Trawler is way stronger than these. This isn't a one-turn. This is not a one-time thing. With baubles that sacrifice themselves, this card is, like, ridiculous. This will get you, like, way more value. Yeah, the Murder Retriever, I guess, does go infinite with the KCI combo. What are you looping? I'm kind of curious. Because we don't... It's not like we have Pyrite Spellbomb. Or is it just make infinite mana and then... I don't even know what you do with the infinite mana. Yeah, I cut Soul Ring for the infinite mana outlet. That's what I was saying. Scrap Trawler, the Junk Diver, the Mirror Retriever does go infinite. But what like... No, I get that, but what are we doing with the infinite mana? Like, there's no X spell. I don't see an activated ability. Like, how does the infinite mana turn into a win? What do we do with it? Am I just missing an artifact that does damage? Because the three can loop each other over and over, going to bobble infinite drain with the... Oh, you use the marionette as well. Oh, that's so many pieces. Oh, that's so many pieces. Yeah, maybe. I missed that. Oh, man, that's tough. Genesis Wave and Scoop? Yeah, that's funny. Huh. Is that, like, consistent? Like, I don't even know. We don't have many... It's not like we have a lot of tutors. Alright, if you wanna go the combo route, maybe we cut a few other slower cards. Maybe Vein Ripper. No, Vein Ripper's an outlet. for that combo. This is tricky. Is there an X? There are X cards that can win, but you don't want to just like throw one in for the combo because you may end up with it as a dead card very often. Maybe Dross Spellbomb is like too slow. Maybe Free Stride Lookout is a little too win more. Those are my like initial thoughts here. See, now I gotta find more cuts. The other than because you were holding on for other reasons. I don't want to say cut Timeless Witness then. Okay, let's go down here. Maybe you just don't add that. It's difficult. Maybe Locust Heavy Destroyer is a bit mid. Vein Ripper is kind of clunky. I'm thinking Vein Ripper too, honestly. It's like 6 mana, right? Stargaze is an X1, but my problem with it is just like it's like not very good outside of the combo. Okay, Gromp. Here are my final thoughts. I still think that these 3 are good adds, and I would just cut these 3. My bad for missing the Mirror Retriever combo. I didn't see the Junk Diver, so I didn't realize it would go infinite there. Locker felt very mid to you. I mean, yeah. I think this is my final decision. Final change. I might want to look at this deck again later, like off stream. maybe I'll hit you up on the Discord. Moving on to Gisa Sagas. This was also a tricky deck to make changes for because there are not that many sagas. So a couple of changes. Font of Fertility. I think this card sucks. It's 3 mana for Rampant Growth. I know it's an enchantment, but like you want to cast it earlier on. It's whatever. Feign is very slow. Is your Discord? Yeah, the Discord's patrons only. Yeah, I wanted the Discord server to be like something where people can like regularly ping me, regularly DM me. And if it was public, I wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah. Yeah, Gromp. I mean, if you want to cut the combo, because like you didn't have that many tutors for it, so maybe it's just a little inconsistent. But I can see wanting a combo finish in a deck like that can dirtle. Feign the Broker, I think it's just a little too slow. Etched Slith is a weird card that I don't think is very good. I wanted to add, if you're going to add Font of Fertility, Gift of Paradise, I think is just better. It's also 3 mana ramp, but it's an enchantment that stays on the battlefield. Seal of Primordial. I felt like you needed a little bit more removal. Like a Cam Grill Acceptance Magic. I mean, sure, yeah. It's just like that. Seal of Primordial. Great removal. It's an enchantment. It fits with your Enchantressy stuff. Where is it? Your Enchantressy stuff. Terra Sunder. Really great removal. A lot of patrons have been talking about this card. It slaps. I think I might have forgot to order a copy of it for my Abzan deck. Well, yeah, I think this deck just needed some better removal and a bit of better ramp. Font of Fertility, I think, is too slow. More of a Salvaging Station focus anyway. Imotech and Salvaging Station go infinite the same way KCI is. Yeah, you could just do Salvaging Station in infinites. Terra Sunder is great, yeah. They had, in that deck, they had Grass, Elephant Grass, which is a cumulative upkeep card, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, it's cool to remove cumulative upkeep counters. Okay, next is a Tetun Gnome Champion deck. This lets you, like, flip things. When ETBs are attacked, you get to transform a flip artifact. Basically, Gisa, salvage station, Emotech is a pseudo extra commander anyway. Yeah, exactly. Gnomes. Yeah, this lets you make gnomes. It's pretty sweet. Oh, yo, what up, Ice Cream Swagger? I like your list. I think this is super fun. I love this commander. This is like one of my favorite commanders that has come out. It's so cool. Couple of additions. Okay, Thran Dynamo. I felt like you're in 3 colors. It's a bit awkward. So I think maybe just a Gilded Lotus is better than Thran Dynamo. I know it's 1 more mana, but the colored mana is like kind of nice. Here you do have multiple double blue symbols and some double whites as well. So I think the Gilded Lotus is better. Ghostly Prison. I felt like your deck isn't that bad on board. I don't know if this is a meta call, but seemed a bit out of place. It's not an artifact. Akroma's Memorial. Okay, so Akroma's Memorial is a good finisher, except you make 1/1 gnomes, and I know you can buff them with Coat of Arms, but having Coat of Arms and Akroma's Memorial is like very Widmore situational. And considering he has Vigilance and Trample already, when your commander's flipped, he doesn't even get the full bonus from this because he already has 2 keywords. So, I don't know. I think this might be a cut. Couple of additions. Riddlesmith. When you cast an artifact, you get to loot. Really great in a deck like this. You want to get your artifacts in the graveyard for that craft. Gilded Lotus I talked about. And then Phyrexian Metamorph. This lets you clone artifacts, which is really great in a deck with key artifacts like this. Be wary if you clone the front side of an artifact, you can't transform Phyrexian Metamorph. But this list is awesome. This list is so cool. 30 lands and then tons of MDFCs. I love it. It's great. This is a cool deck. I think you made a really great list here. And I think just like, yeah, some slight changes. I think Riddlesmith is going to feel really good when you cast it on turn 2. It's going to feel really nice. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts. Ghostly Prison is for the stacks because it has very slow. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I just wonder, like, I don't know. Do you not just cast your Riddlesmith, loot a bit, and then chump block with them? Yeah. No, no problem. It's a cool list. I think this deck is fun. Okay, this is an interesting list. This is Goad / Coward by Meluin. Yeah, this is a weird deck. They're playing like this guy, which is like cowards can't block warriors and can turn things into cowards. And then there's like a warrior sub theme and like more coward stuff. Yeah, just chump block with the gnomes, exactly. And then this is also like a goad deck, and goad with like a Johnny Steadfast is funny because you just buff up a thing that's goaded. A couple of changes. All right. 1, cut a mountain, put Sudden Eruption in there. Let's Zergo get in for damage. Right to the Raging Storm. It does not goad the creature. The 5/1 doesn't have to attack, which is annoying. Peregrine of Modernity just seemed kind of slow. This Eternal, I know he's a warrior, but Afflict 1 is just not that good. Frontline Devastator, I know he's a warrior, but Afflict 2 is just not that good for 4 mana. A couple of additions. Spectacular Showdown. Oh my goodness. Giving Zergo Double Strike is very funny. This card finishes games. It's a great goad card. Life of the Party, another excellent goad card. Jessica Thrice Reborn. You put this on Zergo, you insta-kill someone. Put it on a goaded creature, it probably will deal damage. And then Brina the Demagogue. If you're attacking and people are attacking and they're goading, draw cards. It's awesome. Put counters on things. Coward / Killer Doctor Who card with Dalek the Ninth Doctor. What is this called? Coward. This card? I've never seen this card before. Target creature can't block this turn. It becomes a coward and introduces other types. Time travel? It's flavorful, but I don't know if it's that good for the list. Okay. Grand Melee. This is another goad deck. Pretty cool. Oh my goodness, my voice is killing me. Sorry, chat. I'm just muting when I drink some water. I'm gonna try and go fast so I don't lose my voice. Oh, am I still muted? No. Yeah. Sorry, no, I was just muted because I'm losing my voice here. Yeah. Just a couple of quick changes. Right at the Raging Storm. Not a goad card. It doesn't goad. I don't like this card. Mana Geyser? I don't know what we're Mana Geysering into. We don't have like X spells or anything. I wasn't sure what the role of this card was. Other than like some of these board wipes, but like this is so niche, and I don't think Earthquake's that good. Couple of additions. Magus of the Moon. I saw you were playing Blood Moon. Here's the other one. Goblin Charbelcher. Hear me out. Alright. You flip 3 cards, you hit a mountain. That's like 6 damage to something. It's like repeatable removal. It's great. And then you hit people in the face, you burn them. It's pretty fun. It's a bit jank, but it works. And then Slumbering Dragon. If people are going to attack you, Slumbering Dragon gets counters. It gets pretty big, pretty fast. It can be pretty dangerous. Otherwise, you know, chef's kiss, great list. Not too many things to say. Yeah, exactly. It's got to be a true goad card. If it's not, then it's like, you know, what are you doing? Okay, Insect. I think I misspelled Insect. It should be Insect Army by Bob Bananaville, who I believe is in chat. Okay, so I think you said that you want to be focused on newer cards since that's mostly what your LGS has. Surveyor's Scope's pretty mid. Not gonna lie, it's kind of bad. So I've done that here. Overall, you know, this is an insect deck. You make tokens, you make dudes, etc., right? This is all well and good. A lot of great Selesnya stuff here. Couple of small changes. Prosperous Innkeeper. I felt like the life gain wasn't that necessary in this deck. Hey, yeah, what up, Bob? Maybe, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you really want the life gain, but it didn't feel that needed. Golden Tail Trainer felt a bit. It buffs your modified creatures, which can be good for the commander. But there's not enough aura or equipment to take advantage of it, so I think it's kind of eh. And then this just becomes a big creature, which is like fine, but it's other than that, it's kind of whatever. I mean, you got some insects in here, you know, Hornet Queen and the Horn Beetle. All right, we got other good insects. I wanted to add a few more, actually. So this is it's just a 2-minute insect with Death Touch. When it attacks another creature you control gains Death Touch. This helps you get your commander in. I know it can fly already, but giving Death Touch makes it really hard to block. Lets you attack with other things. Hornet Nest. Do you pretty much always run MDFs? Yeah. I think the M3 Modern Horizons 3 MDFCs are broken. They're busted. Hornet Nest, I think, is also pretty fun. You know, you can just block with it. You know, it tanks a 5/5. You make 5 dudes. It's pretty cool. And then Xanthid Swarm. I know this isn't printed recently, so I don't know. Maybe you'll find this or not. But it's a 1-mana insect, flying. When it attacks, the defending player can't cast spells this turn. So what you do is you cast this, you swing at someone with blue, and then they can't cast counter spells this turn, and then you can cast your commander for free. And it's an insect. And these are all great because when you attack with one or more insects, you put a counter on each of them, so being able to eventually buff up your Xanthid Swarm or your Hornet Nest can make them like really dangerous. Yeah, giving Death Touch to your commander is super sweet. And then, yeah, I like putting counters on these insects. It makes them like way more efficient. But otherwise, a really great list. I think This was a very well-made deck. Oh, instant army, not insect army. I'm just like illiterate today. Yeah, getting your commander under counter spells with the Xanthid Swarm is like really good. Yeah, hopefully those changes help. Next is an Elish Norn list. More importantly, this is a Hera parent list. So you can have any number of Hera parents. He's running 28. When this enters, you make a number of 1/1 rabbits equal to the number of other creatures you control. Couple of changes. Legion Loyalty, a 2 win more. Ephemerate, you'd rather just have another Hera parent. Claim Jumper, who cares about ramping? We're just casting 2 drops. Our curve is so low. Anointed Procession, I felt like we already had a lot of other doublers, including one in the command zone, so it's a bit wood more to have this many of them. Here's a couple of things. Semblance Anvil and Cloud Key can make your Hera parents cost less, allowing you to chain multiple in one go. Yeah, sticking it to the blue player. Allowing you to cast multiple Hera parents in one go. I think this could be a potential way to take the deck. Letting you just go crazy with that. And then Crashing Drawbridge and Dawn's Truce. The enemy of decks like this is board wipes. So protection for it is really key, or you play Crashing Drawbridge, you play your Cloud Key, and then the next turn when your Drawbridge is ready to tap, you just go Hera Parent, Hera Parent, Hera Parent, Hera Parent, Hera Parent, give them all haste swing, you know? Is there a best Soul Nourisher in there? I think there was a best in the Green White deck. If not, best is a good addition. Oh, sorry, I didn't give any final thoughts. Hera Parent is very funny, but I just think you need more ways around board wipes. So that's why I would recommend Dawn's Truce and Crashing Drawbridge. Yeah, Hera Parent can get like way out of hand if that happens. Next is Vrath, the Shapeshifter. So on your post-combat, so at the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a -1/-1 counter on a creature, and then he can become a copy of a thing with a counter. Except it's a 7/5 with that ability. So this deck is playing Biovisionary, which if you have 4 copies of, you win the game. Very funny. Here's a couple of changes. Windfall. I don't think you need Windfall in this deck. I don't see the synergy here. You can just giving your opponent's cards. Tamio, a bit slow. I'm worried it just gets attacked. Feed the Swarm, a really great mono block card. We're in Sultai. You don't need Feed the Swarm. Doomblade, we have better removal. So Terra Sunder and Beast Within are the better removal that I think just goes in the deck. And then Greater Good, turning things into 7/5s is great to sacrifice to Greater Good because you get 7 cards. Oh my god, if you get a Biovisionary win at EDH, yeah, it's really funny. And then Cauldron of Souls. This is like board wipe protection, but it also puts counters on things, which works with your commander as well. So I think it's a pretty awesome pairing here. Other than that, this deck is very silly. There were a lot of there were a couple of strange cards in here, like Biovisionary and Doppelgang. In this is the type of stuff that I love, right? You Doppelgang your Biovisionary, it's hilarious. You'd be saying, yeah, you can sack the commander or just other things. Like the deck had the deck has other like big creatures that you can just like sack. Okay. Kami Drago by Big Bucci. So this is like a high-ish power mono blue control list. This user specifically said that there's no budget restrictions, so I added things that are expensive. So a couple of changes. Expedition map, I think you're going for Reliquary Tower here. I would just swap it with Spellbook. Easy. Lab Maniac, we already have Jace Bellerin. You don't really need 2 of these effects. And then said and done, it felt kind of mid. So here's my additions. So spellbook, you know, I think this deck really wants max hand size, so spellbook's good here. The One Ring, if you're going to be in this type of control deck and being attacked, it's pretty good, and it draws a lot of cards. It's kind of exactly what you want. And then Foil, if you're going to draw a lot of cards, this is a second Force of Will. It's Force of Will, but you have to discard an island and another card, which is fine in this deck because you can have so many cards in hand. So it's just Force of Will 2. I love this deck. I think it's really fun. I like the Winter Moon. This seems like a great high power list. There is utility in getting other lands, but this deck really needs the no max hand size. And like, I don't know how often you're going to be tutoring for Academy Ruins or like War Room in this deck. So that's why I think Spellbook is better. Force of Will 2, exactly. Alright, Cather keyword. Did it autocorrect to Catherine? I have no idea what happened here. When it enters the battlefield, you put like a flying counter on any creature you control, and then you repeat for every other keyword. Then you put a +1/+1 counter on the creature for each keyword counter placed this way. Oh no, the counters always go on him. But basically, you get a creature with a bunch of keywords in the graveyard. Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Trample. You cast him, you put all those counters on him, and then he gets 4 counters, you know? Do most control decks like Reliquary? I don't think so. If you have too many cards in hand as a control deck, usually you need to be more proactive. I don't play Reliquary Tower in most of my control decks. Yo, what up, Joseph? Okay, so I was looking at your list. Couple of changes. Life of the Loam, I think, is slower and like worse than Shriekhorn because you're just not doing enough lands stuff, so I think Shriekhorn is better. I know you can get back Boseiju who endures, but other than that, I think Shriekhorn is just more mill. Farseek. Instead of Farseek, Millican. It's also ramp, but it also mills you. Pathways of Ulamog. Maybe you can correct me here. Is this just a reanimation target? Because Annihilator doesn't work for Cather. And instead I put Cataclysmic Gearhulk because it does have Vigilance, so it is a keyword if you needed it, but it's also a board wipe, which is kind of cool. Unburial Rites is cool reanimation, but it's kind of slow. And your commander is your big threat in the command zone. I don't know how much reanimation you need. So instead, Head Shredder. I think Head Shredder is like... Head Shredder seems really good. I haven't tried it out yet, but it's very strong. It seems very strong. Oh, you switched it out for a Sirach and Goreclaw. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because, yeah, otherwise it does make sense. Yeah, Cataclysmic is so good. This deck is really fun. I just don't think you need reanimation targets because you already are milling big things, and you can just reanimate those. You usually reanimate utility pieces. Yeah, that makes sense. Is that better than a regrowth effect, then? Like, if they're a cheap creature, like, do you need Unburial Rites, or do you just... I guess you don't have that many 1-drops you're recurring. I still stand by Unburial Rites is kind of slow in this deck. Otherwise, these are the changes. I think these are pretty sweet. I think Millican is better than Farseek in this deck. And I think Shriekhorn is slept on as a self-mill piece. Okay, Kellen. I believe this user said that they wanted more finishers. So what I did was I cut some of the slower, more weak cards. Last Thoughts is like really slow. Cypher's funny with Kellen, but not that funny. Wiretapping's really jank. And just swapped away First Bauble for Wild Growth. Spelljack, really good for, triggering off of Kellen. And Spelljack also lets you steal threats. Amanatu's Augury is like a finisher, just put so many things into play. And then Mind's Dilation will eventually win you the game, and it triggers Kellen a lot. Yeah, I hope those changes help, Joseph. Currently playing the Worthless Discard Exile. Nothing to do with her. 88. No wonder it's 88% Mythic. Yeah. Overall, I think these will help you like close out games a little faster, and I think Wayfarer's Bauble is worse than Wild Growth. Otherwise, it's a pretty normal Kellen deck. Nothing, no hate, but nothing more to say. Okay, now we got Kess. Okay, so this is a Kess reanimator list. So a couple of changes here. Curate, I think considers better. It's just 1 mana. Ill-timed explosion. You don't have that many reanimation fatties, so I feel like it's going to be a little meh. I think Jace is kind of better as a looter, double up on reanimation spells. And then Memory Slice is you mill yourself for 4. Well, Merfolk Secret Keeper lets you mill yourself for 4, cast it as a creature. If it dies, you then cast it again as an adventure using Kess. So I think it's just better than Memory Slice. Oh, it's your turn. Yo, what up? Yeah, I think your deck is quite strong. I think it's very powerful. I just think these small changes will improve it. I think Ill-Timed Explosion is potentially good, but it's also really win more luck-based. But I think if you just, make these small changes here, because your deck is already, like, pretty tuned, these small changes will really get your deck far. Yeah, adventures are sweet. And speaking of adventures, if I move on to the... I think I mistyped this. It should be Kess. If I move on to the other Kess deck, I actually... No, there's another Kess deck that I suggested adventures. I did not suggest adventures for this one. This is a high-power casual Spellslinger deck. So a couple of changes. Bosium Strip is one of my favorite cards in this deck. Lets you cast things out of your yard. Burning Vengeance, when you cast things out of your yard, you get to deal damage. And then you're playing like no creatures. It's like a creatureless control shell. Let's just play stacks. That was the first deck you built? That's a really good Kess list for the first deck. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very impressed. If we're playing high power EDH, which this user, Lady Karma, told me they are, and you're playing no creatures, just play stacks. Play Burning Sands, play Overburden, play Tainted Aether. Get those pesky lands out of there. Here are the cuts. Brainstorm, Brain Surge, kind of mid. Dark Ritual, don't know what we're Dark Ritualing into. This deck is mostly blue, so I don't know what this is for. The original title of my deck was Burning Vengeance. It came out... Oh, you cut it? I like Burning Vengeance. Maybe keep it and keep... I cut Perplex for Burning Vengeance in this scenario. Maybe you keep Perplex. Maybe Perplex is better than what I'm giving it credit for. It seems really bad, even with the Transmute. I could be wrong. You cut it because it got mean. Oh, okay. Yeah, it seems really good. Yeah, exactly. We love stacks here. Sensei's Divining Top. It's fine. I didn't think we had that many cards that synergize with it, so I just suggested cutting it and then stacking up this deck. Now, if you don't want to stack up your deck, I get it, but we DM'd a little bit, and I remember telling you that I was gonna suggest some wacky things. Dark Rit, Flashback, Dark Rit, Torment. Yeah, you could, but isn't Dark Rit? You're missing half the power of Dark Rit, which is getting something, powerful out early. I feel like we're not using it to cheat our commander in play. Can you link me the list that I put here? Yeah, I got you. Oops. Hang on. I pasted instead of copying. Is Dampening Sphere a good stacks card? It depends on your list. It really depends on your list. If you want to hit out on Storm, it is. Sorry, let me get some closing thoughts. I love creatureless control. I love Secrets of the Dead. So this deck is very similar to stuff that I've built, and it's a very cool list. I just think you could stack it up. Yeah, what up, Charge Strike? Used to have Necro low. Oh, I mean, Necropotence is also good. Yeah. These adjustments for cutting sensei. I know. Look, if you like the sensei, keep it. It's just, I don't know. It kind of doesn't do anything by itself. This is Joshua's Kirk deck. And they already had a bit of a life swap sub-theme, so I was like, hey, Soul Conduit. Can I send the leak with all the decks? Yeah, I'll give it. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, no problem. No problem, Karma. Soul Conduit, more life swapping. I think that's... You already had some life swap stuff. Repay in kind. Might as well go all the way. Imps Mischief. The life loss is pretty fun here. It's a redirection spell. Ad Nauseam. You can just Ad Naus to tank your life total and then life swap. It's pretty fun. Just draw like 4 cards. I cut the Warhammer, Aetherborn, and Blood Reckoning. They just seemed kind of low impact. 12 mana though. Yeah, but it's over the course of 2 turns. And it's not like you're spending your mana on anything else in this deck. You're just cheating. Here you go. Here's all the list. Okay, Magar. This was a weird Magar list. There weren't that many like big spells, which kind of confused me. So what I did was I cut some of the like big creatures, and wanted to replace it with like Blood-Soaked Insight and like hit the Mother Load and Faithless Looting as some just like more spell stuff to like work with the commander. I feel like this deck needs like a bit of an overhaul though. It's got too many creatures, or maybe you change the commander. You know. I also wanted to recommend Filth plus Urborg. Urborg is $50, so I didn't make any cuts for it. But this combo is really good in the deck. It lets you get your 3/3s in really quickly. But Zed, please hit me up. I want to talk to you more about this list because you didn't give me any notes going into it, and I'm kind of confused by it. I feel like there's too many creatures, like way too many. I think this needs like a 15-card change, or we swap the commander and do something else. Making you rate my Dragon deck by Saint. Thank you, Saint. Yes, you are making me rate your Dragon deck. So a couple of changes. Incarnation Technique, I think, is better than Tempt with Immortality. You can politics it. Leyline of the Guild Pack, your meta base isn't bad. I think you just use this. Doom Necromancer felt a bit, a bit clunky. So I wanted to add the classic one-shot combo because I think it'll be really funny. You just activate Scion, turn it into a Molten Steel Dragon, you pay life to bump up its power to 10, and then you turn it to Skitherix, and then you instantly delete someone with Infect. And I think that's just going to be higher impact than the stuff you're doing. And then a 4th additional potential card is Marvin, because it can be a second Scion, but it is a bit win more, so I wasn't really sold on it. Maybe you cut something for it, like Exhume, if you just want a second commander, but I'm iffy on Marvin. Overall, I love this commander. You know I love this commander, so I want to see this deck on stream. Okay, Celion Cross, who I believe is in the chat. Maella, it says Maella 2 to 5 power, but like, do you mean the power level of the deck? Because there are creatures that have more than 2 to 5 power. Okay, a couple of changes. Blast Furnace Alkite. I think this card is too slow, and I think it makes you too much of the arch enemy. I think a lot of players, when I play this card, are like, ooh, I don't want to give you my dude's double strike to help you and harm this guy. I'm just going to attack you instead. That happens all the time, so I had issues with this card. Champion's Helm, I don't think you need to protect your commander that badly, to be honest. It's a 3-drop, and you have like a ton of ramp. Oh, Maella 2.2. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. 2.0. Creeping Renaissance. Damn. I don't think we're self-milling enough or getting enough of one type in the graveyard for this to be worth it. And this card is cool, but it's like 7 mana. So Loot, the new Loot, pretty great. Life's Legacy, more card draw. Greater Good, more card draw. If you're playing your big stompy deck, both these cards are great. This shouldn't be Fell the Mighty. This should be Momentous Fall. Yeah, I just think you need more like big card draw. Yeah, my bad. I think you just need more big card draw. We're playing like big things, and just refilling your hand and then playing more big things is just how you win games. Just sounds more draw. Yeah. I think you just want a lot more card draw. Good list though. Classic commander. Mary goes aggro. So this is a legendary creature equipment matters deck. A couple of changes. Nahiri, she's okay. I think she's too slow. 5 mana. And this creature also is like really jank and slow. And deflecting palm in an aggro deck isn't that useful. So I don't like deflecting palm here. I know it's a target for Sunforger, but Okay, so another legendary creature to add, Squelv. Really great. Protects your dudes. It's very annoying to deal with. It's a Mother of Runes, but it's legendary, so it fits the theme. Inti, more card draw in Boros. Aggro is what you need. Or card selection, at least. It's quite powerful. And it gets bigger, put equipment on it, it's good. Fighter class. This one's a bit expensive, I know. It's a bit of a pricey card. But it's so strong in an equipment deck. You get to tutor up something, you get to make equip costs go less. And then the third mode, if you can get to it, is just gravy at that point. Oh, did my stream go out? No, that's good, it's good. Oh, nice, playing against Mythic. Well, you'll hit Mythic soon on Arena, that's fun. This list is sweet overall. I can't hate any deck that has Sunforger. And this is an interesting commander I actually hadn't seen before. It's because it's really good. It's just expensive because it has like 1 printing, and it's really good. Me When I Eowyn by Gavin. So this is like a human aggro deck. A couple of changes. Red LA Blast, Pyroblast, not a huge fan. In casual, we are also in blue. We just play real counter spells. Rite of Flame. Not sure what we're ramping into, particularly. Okay, couple of changes. Sink into Stupor gives you 1 extra land and also more pseudo counterspell. Jolly Balloon Man lets you clone your humans, which puts a human into play, triggering your commander, etc., etc. Very good card. And he's a human. Professional Facebreaker, another human, gives you more card draw, gives you treasures, way strong, super powerful. This card is really good. Other than that, it's a human aggro deck. Not much more to say. Oops, I clicked on the same deck. Alright, Mr. House Treasures. So this is a treasure deck with an attraction pile, which was very confusing. There weren't many changes I can make because you already have the cards that make attractions, right? So here are my changes. Mahdi is a little slow. I know he makes treasures, but it's a bit meta dependent. I think he's not going to make as many as you want. And then this thing's like a really bad blood artist. So changes. Dawn's Truce. We need protection from board wipes. And Painful Truce. We need more card draw. Painful Truce is really great in 3-color decks. I will talk about this card in other deck lists. Spymaster's Vault. This card is like $1. It's super good. Cut a swamp for Spymasters. Do you think those additional minuses, Burning Vengeance, are going to make people stop? I mean, I don't know. You told me Stacks was fine, so that's, I don't know your playgroup. Yeah, I like Bosium Strip a lot. Having to keep your graveyard in order is really funny. Okay, so this user had a TARDIS hidden commander deck, and they changed commanders, so now it's Teamer with the 12th Doctor. So a few simple changes. Boundless Realms. It's by the time you can cast this, you don't want to be casting this. You want to play creatures. I think cards like this are bad. Craterhoof. Your deck cheats out, like, ramps into huge threats all the time. You don't need this to win games. Rampaging Bailouts, too low impact. Couple of easy changes. Sphinx of the Second Sun. An insane magic card. Comb of the World Eater. Really crazy magic card. You didn't expect all the recommendations to be land destruction? I mean, I said I was going to be thinking outside the box with your list. Gruel Ranger Beast. This is a card that Salubrious Snail showed me, and it's pretty sweet. In a deck like this, it's going to be like a ton of removal. Otherwise, it's big teamer stuff. There's not much more I can say about this. This deck kind of does its thing. Yeah, Spymaster's Vault is insane. It lets you do all sorts of crazy things. Vrath Equipment. This is spicy. An equipment deck with Vrath? Oh, so sweet. Here are the cuts. Avacyn. I know you can flash her in, but she's like a gajillion mana. Helm of the Host. I know you can flash it in, but it's like a gajillion mana and also really slow. Lightning Greaves. It's very awkward in decks like this where you want to be equipping to your commander or something. Because once you equip this, you have to move it to equip other things, and then if somebody has spot removal, they can like kill it in between you moving it, which is like, okay. I don't know. I just don't like Lightning Greaves that much in decks that don't care about the haste. And then this Teferi. This Teferi draws a lot of hate, and your commander already gives you flash, so not super necessary. A couple of changes. One, I thought you needed a bit more lands. Arcane Laboratory, pretty great. Lets you bounce your commander. Moderation is a really good card in this deck. You can't cast more than one spell each turn, but when you cast a spell, you draw a card. Considering we're flashing every turn, you draw a billion cards. Kefnet, you're probably going to be pretty full on hand in this deck, and he's an indestructible blocker. Also, he combos with World Slayer, which I think is very funny. Emery Lurker, the Lock. This is just really great in an artifact deck. Yeah, those are my changes. Okay, Sakashima. So this was a clone deck, and the user wanted more finishers. So here are my changes. Mystic Remora. I don't think it's very good in casual EDH. Too many creatures running around. Maybe it's a meta call. Maybe, put it back in. Court of Vantress. I don't think we're great at holding the Monarchy, so it seems not that efficient. Archaeomancer. We didn't have that many things to return, so I don't know. I just cut it. Mass Bounce Effects. Mass Bounce Effects are great. You get to reset all of your clones. You reset your commander. These are super sweet. It'll keep you alive as well. And then you want cards like Bribery. Just play Theft Effects. You don't need finishers in your deck. You steal one from your opponent, and then you clone it 3 times, and then you win with that. And I think adding more Theft Effects could really make this deck quite good. So yeah, those are my Sakashima changes. Okay, this is the Kess list that I suggested, yeah. The adventures, because the adventures are great in this deck. You get to loop them around, it's kind of like infinite value. And then Painful Truths, another great card. I really like Painful Truths. 3 mana for 3 cards is just good. Charter Course, swap it for Painful Truths. Ral, I think it's too low impact, too win more. And I think Wandering Archaic is bad. People don't just like play free spells into this. They don't just give you value. They usually just destroy it. Oh, I'm glad you appreciate the Sakashima advice. I think this is just like, I don't know, it just eats a board wipe. I've never had good luck with this, so I think just card draw would be better. I like Kess though. Kess is pretty sweet. Okay, yeah, no, Wandering Archaic, it's not good though. This list is fun though. There's a couple of like goofy things in here. It seems pretty strong, pretty good, like mid-rangey Kess deck. Shapeshifter by Red 5220. It is a funny card, yeah, I agree. Arcane Wandering Archaic is funny, it's just not good. Okay, here's a Lazov list. This is the one that like turns into a copy of something. And you can like turn it into a copy of an unblockable creature, swing, and then before damage, turn it into a Skitherix, and give it infect, and pump it up and like kill a player. All that is well and good. It's a cool deck. Some small changes. Teferi's Ageless Insight. Just play real card draw, I think. It's just more efficient. Reanimate? I don't know what we're reanimating. Everything's kind of just like a cheap low to the ground thing for Lazoff to turn into. Three Dynamo, I don't know what we need the mana for. Marvin can be a second Lazoff, which is pretty cool. Charter Course, I think, is just kind of okay. It's a bit annoying sometimes, having to attack. And then I think the, like, mill crabs could be a good addition. You know, you just remove all of the, you just remove, like, all your own cards constantly. It's such a good, efficient mill engine. So yeah, those are my changes to your Lazoff list. It's a funny deck. I think Hatred could be a good add, but the card's like $60, so I didn't suggest it. Okay, Warrior, who I believe is in the chat. You wanted more protection for your commander, so that's what I did. Yeah, Marvin's cool. It is a sweet card. Cut some cantrips. I don't think you need cantrips for this list. Flicker Form is protection, but it's like really overcosted. So just Dispel. Like, Dispel is like a classic. Sometimes you don't want to attack for trade. Yeah, that's true, but with Kess, you don't like want all the instants and sorceries in the graveyard. You want to cast them and then cast them again for more value, you know? Delay and Dispel if you want protection. Cheap counter spells are really, really good. And then Apostle's Blessing. This is a card a lot of people forget about. It lets you give your commander protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, which is pretty good for a very cheap cost. It's 1 mana, basically, just pays your life. But it can also give artifacts protection from a color, which is neat. It lets your Silent Arbiter dodge spot removal and stuff, or your Swiftfoot Boots dodge like a Beast Within. So it's got some extra utility, and I like that. Overall, you know, it's a Bruna list. This is very much what I expected to see. Okay, 6 by Hank, who I believe is also in the chat. Now this is just like a green mid-range list. So a couple of changes. Satyr Wayfinder, I actually don't know if it's that good in the deck. Like, yes, you mill 3, and it's like pseudo card draw, because you're like, oh, I milled these, and I can cast any of them. But you'd rather cast the spell once, get the value, than cast it again with 6, right? So I'm not as sold on the Wayfarer. Inspired you to make a Kess deck with only adventure creatures? You should do that. That'd be pretty sweet. They printed modal-ish auras. Like auras that do 2 different things. Okay, a couple of additions. 1, cut a forest for guildless commons. It lets you put a land back in your hand, which is perfect for 6. Groundskeeper also lets you put lands from your graveyard back into hand. Perfect with 6 as well. Kura, since you have like utility lands like Rogue's Passage and stuff, and presumably will add more over time, this is a pretty good card. In that late game, it just becomes like a big dude, you know? So, and then lastly, Praetor's Council. Praetor's Council is pretty sweet if you want to get all your lands back, you want to get everything back. It's just a huge late game value thing. And if you want this to be like a good mid-range, grindy deck, Praetor's Council is that late game that'll get you there. Okay, we got the Muffin Man. So this is a golem deck. You make food golems, and then when they die, he makes more food golems. Couple of changes. Mole Drifter, it doesn't happen on ETB, so like making copies of it with your commander doesn't actually do anything, because this is when you cast, you draw cards. I guess it has Annihilator 1, which isn't too bad, but it's like, it's not that strong. This room, a lot of words on it, not very good words. Archaeomancer, don't know what we're getting back. I think there's not that many instant sorceries, we can skip it. Okay, Rootborn Defenses. You give your creatures indestructible, and you populate. So good in a token deck like this. You were thinking of building a Kellen the Kid deck, reanimator with Ren and 6. Or 6 and Ren in Realmbreaker. That could be cool. Yeah, putting more space for like Dog Umber would be like potentially good too. And then Doppelgang. Doppelgang is like just such a sweet card. And it's really good with your oops. It's really good with your splicers because you get more golems off of it. I think Doppelgate could be good. Throwing by watching your mom in 3D. So a couple of changes here. Swapping a couple of basics for Blighted Woodland and Deceptive Landscape I think would be really great. You don't need that many basics, and these are let you double up on like landfall effects and lands in the graveyard. And then Lotus Cobra, I don't like in a land ramp deck because it doesn't land ramp, you know? It's just like, it just makes mana. I would rather just have a land ramp spell. And then this thing is like really slow. Maybe I'm wrong about Soulstair Exploration, but it seems slow. So, non-land things to add. Disciple of Freyalise. Talked about it a bunch of times already. This card is insane. It's phenomenal. Summer Bloom. This could be a good Summer Bloom deck. You have so many ways to cast lands from your graveyard. Just going like Summer Bloom, land is so powerful. So I think like it could be good, you know? So yeah, those are my changes to your Givrog and Thalia deck. Otherwise, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in here. You got a lot of the new things in here. You got some of the older things in here that are good. And a lot of the expensive stuff too. So, hard to make changes. Protection, if another creature removal is for the opponents. Oh, with Dog Umbra? Yeah. Dog Umbra is pretty good. Tiny Bones. This is the Brawl deck. So remember, this is a Brawl deck, so legality is a little different than for EDH. Couple of quick changes. Shoot the Sheriff. There's too many outlaws in Brawl right now. I don't think this card's very good. Snarling Gorehound. I love the card. I don't think you're going to trigger it enough in this deck. And then I think the Vengeful Blood Witch is kind of slow. Changes I would make. Murderous Rider. So good in 1v1. Yo, what up? What about Grungy? Gutmorn is also just like a really efficient threat. I mean, Flying Death Touch already is like really good on a 3-mana body, but it does more. It's got like a wall of text. I'm not gonna pull it up now because it's an arena card. And then lastly, Aclazotz. I think Aclazotz is really good in 1v1 and will help you just like get some more wins. It's just so efficient and so powerful, and you can flip this so easily. And this deck just getting you back into the game. So yeah, I think these three are just strict upgrades here. That's all. Yeah, your Brawl deck looks pretty sweet. You know, I think overall it's like well balanced. I like the Leyline of the Void. I like the amount of removal. Your Brawl is 1v1 EDH, but it's standard legal as well. Which is why Shoot the Sheriff is extra bad, because if it's standard legal, there's a lot of outlaws. But yeah, those are the three changes. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Next, Tricks Are for Kids by Quillian. Okay, so this is a Marisi deck with like some goad things, some just kind of like mid-rangey, combat-oriented stuff. Here's a few changes. Deflecting Palm, not a huge fan in more aggro decks. I think this card is way too jank and niche. And then Temur Battle Rage. Temur Battle Rage, I think, can be swapped for Legion Leadership. I know Double Strike is not exactly the same as doubling the power, but doubling the power and giving First Strike is basically as good, and this is an MDFC. Insurrection. If you're playing like a goady, attacky kind of deck, and you don't want too many board wipes, this is a better board wipe, because then you like steal creatures and knock players out, and then their creatures are gone. And then Bedlam. Like, if we're going to goad all of our opponent's stuff, make it so that they can't block. Otherwise, yeah, wouldn't change too much else. Sweet deck. Okay, we already did Elecmans, we already did Brad's. Okay, so this is Urza Super Friends. We got all of these Planeswalkers in here. Pretty great. And it's just, as always, control with Planeswalkers, you know? So a few things. We cut the cantrips. Cantrips are mid. Swiftfoot Boots, What are we protecting? We're a Planeswalker deck. And then Timio's logbook is kind of slow. Dreamtide Whale. Proliferating is awesome in this deck. And it's a 7/5, so it blocks well. Arena Rector, a bit of an expensive card, but really powerful. When it dies, you just put a Planeswalker into play. Kind of crazy. Definitely would recommend in a Planeswalker deck. And then Settle the Wreckage and Aetherize really deter players from attacking. Once players know you have these things in hand, you have these things in your deck, when you hold up 4 mana, you can really threaten it. So once your playgroup learns you're playing Aetherize and Settle the Wreckage, you get to stare at them with double white, double blue open and like glare them down, and you can stop attacks that way. It's so powerful, so threatening, and it just lets you protect your dudes. Yeah. But otherwise, Hades, I like your deck. It's a fun list, and like if you meld these, it's hilarious. Can't fault you for wanting to meld Urza Lord High Artificer. It's just such a cool thing. Stare down in Ponies the Galloping. I don't know what that is. Never seen Arena Director before. Yeah, it's a cool card. It's really good. If you have it out, even without sack outlets, nobody wants to attack you. Nobody wants to attack you if you have Arena Director out. It's really funny. Okay, we already did Brad. Vampires. We got a vampire deck here. So another Dark Ritual. We don't need to ramp to our commander early. Our commander doesn't do anything by itself. Not a huge fan of Dark Ritual here. Do you think Aetherize is better than actually having... Them thinking you have Aetherize is better than having hand. Exactly. Blood Betrayal seems a bit random. There's not that many threatened effects. And then Hearthstone, it works with your commander, but not anything else. A bit win more. Here are my changes. This is like a mid-rangey, not super aggro vampire list. So let's just put more removal in here. Let's put counter spells in here. If you want to play the slow, grindy Olivia backup plan for your vampire deck, put some counter spells in here. Withering Boon, Tybalt's Trickery, and just stop them from messing with your stuff. And then Wild Magic Surge is another just good card. Great for getting rid of enchantments. Cut it once, then cut it from the deck until no one. Exactly, yeah, you cast it once and then cut it from the deck, yeah. Did they have Bloodthirsty Conqueror? Is that the new one? I didn't add too many of the new cards, especially because they're like really overpriced right now. Otherwise, it's a vampire deck. I'm not gonna... you have all the good vampires in there. Not a whole lot more for me to say. Okay, Anto Verina, another creatureless control deck, essentially. Couple of changes. Swiftfoot Boots. We have like no creatures. Who cares if they blow up your commander once? I would just like not run it. Seeing Visions of Preordain, low impact. Lightning Greaves, same thing. We don't have creatures. Who cares? Our deck should function without the commander. Couple of changes. For the Urza deck, I'm also thinking of cutting Mirror and Scrap Trawler. They feel demos at the times since I don't have the sack outlets. Yeah, they could be cut, maybe. You could instead add, honestly, just like, the familiar that draws cards when it dies. You could just play it like those like cantrippy dudes, and it's like perfectly fine, So here's a couple of changes. We're in a really slow control deck, a very slow grinding deck. Logic Knot. We're putting things in our graveyard, we're self-milling, we're doing all that jazz. It's great here. Memnarch and Scarab God. These are cards that late game will take over the game. That's the type of stuff we need in this. I know they're creatures, which isn't perfect with this like very low creature deck, but I think you want these types of effects at least a little bit. And then Periphery Nodes. This card is really weird. So on your upkeep, you destroy the creature with the lowest power. It can't be regenerated. If 2 creatures are tied, you choose. If there are no creatures, you sacrifice Periphery Nodes. Periphery Nodes makes it hard for people to attack you. Because if they attack you, you block all your zombies, you kill your zombies, and then it gets to your turn. Periphery Nodes blows up whatever the weakest creature is, whatever they have, and then you make more zombies, and then you just block with those, and you just keep doing that. And if they run out of dudes, you just make zombies, and you blow up your own zombie. It's kind of a weird addition, but I think it'll work in a deck like this. Okay, we do a little crime by Bag of Milk. So this is a mono black control crime deck. Couple of cards to get rid of. Millstone. I think it mills a little too much, and you don't want to help those self-mill decks that much. I know it's an easy crime, but there's lots of ways to commit crimes, so I don't think we need it that badly. Murder. If this is in for flavor reasons, go ahead and keep it. It's kind of funny. Then Raven of the Omens is just kind of like, it's okay. If we're running a lot of instants and things that kill creatures, Tashira is always great. Which I know we only have 10, but like, you don't need that much flashback value from him to be good. Cruel Entertainment. Very funny card, very good politics card. It does target the opponent, so it commits a crime, and you can do politics things. It's a very silly card. And then Ashes to Ashes. Exiles 2 target non-artifact creatures from the game. Pretty great. It's just really good removal. I think it's better than Murder. Crimes as a mechanic is really fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the new bar chase is really cool. Okay, Where It All Began by Ruby Storm, who is resubmitting a deck. So this deck was already really tuned, which made this second go around very difficult. So I have some like suggestions. Since we have like tutors for it and stuff, and we can realistically get Sunforger. Or do we have Sunforger in here? No, my bad. Sorry. We don't have Sunforger in here. My bad. Sorry. Get rid of the Master Warcraft. Ignore me. I think your deck is like, as far as like, casual EDH goes. Yo, what up, Ruby Storm? As far as casual EDH goes, your deck is like pretty complete. There's like not many things I would want to change. So maybe you cut some of the ramp for just fast mana, right? And you just ramp into your equipment even faster. That's like the only thing I can think of. Obviously, these are like really expensive. Normally, I don't recommend that. No, I removed Sunforger. Oh, you're right. It was a Sunforger deck. Nah, I'm remembering. Yeah, you didn't have that many instants, so it felt kind of jank. Yeah. Okay, I'm remembering correctly. All right. I think you could run some like fast mana to just like ramp into these faster. Otherwise, you have all the good, curve out ramp 2 mana stuff. You can maybe go down on some of the spot removal and just be more aggressive. I also think the Heaven the Eternal is maybe a bit maybe a bit weird. And then last change, Magnetic Theft. It's a 1-time instant speed equip. It's really weird, but it can come in handy. If you have like a Mithril Coat on a creature and your opponent wants to destroy your other dude, you can instant speed Magnetic Theft to put it on your other dude and protect that one. Yeah, I did recommend changing some of the lands, but you I think you made those changes, and the mana base is pretty good. I don't know. You're in 2 colors. Your mana base is great. Magnetic Theft also has the side use of stealing opposing equipment, which is really funny. They can just re-equip it, but it is useful. Have I checked your CDH? Could I check your CDH deck? If you're in the Discord, I will check it. This is for patrons. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Magnetic Theft is like great for the Cauldron Complete gotcha. I think it's I don't know. Maybe it's a bit win more. Maybe it's a little situational, but it is quite silly. Otherwise, I don't know. I think you just like cut the 2 mana rocks for like fast mana, so you can like ramp harder. That's like the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, you have all of the good synergy cards. There's like nothing else to add. Looks like a fun list though. Okay, then we got 3 more winter decks. Yo, what up, Magic Mirror? So here's a winter cynical opportunist list. A couple of changes here. Professor Onyx, look, I know she can kind of like do graveyard stuff. I think she's a little slow. It's 6 mana, and you're making use of that Magecraft in this deck. Twitching Doll, I think this card's very slow as well. I don't like it. Culling Ritual, not as good in Casual Commander as it is in in CDH, you know? Oh, Ruby, do you have a different update? Why don't you DM me the list on Discord with the update, and I'll take a look at it there. I think Killing Ritual's not as good in Casual Commander. I think it's a little slow. A Jukai Visionary. This is an enchantment creature, great for Delirium, great for graveyard stuff. I think you need this. Necron Deathmark. You're already playing Noxious Gearhulk. Necron Deathmark is basically another Noxious Gearhulk, but it has Flash instead of Menace. It's quite good. And then Boanilia. This is a enchantment artifact. Really good for Delirium, and it has like all sorts of other utility, which is quite good. Just put the server as a thread. Yeah, you can do either way. If you make it a thread in the server, just like ping me. Yep, it's the Magic Mirror, the podcast. They made Magic Mirror podcast real. Yeah, and then Boanilia, I think, is great utility. Otherwise, I think Delirium's a fun mechanic. I like Delirium, so. Okay, now this is the other winter. This is the Jund one. Couple of changes. Thrill of Possibilities. I think Unexpected Windfall / Big Score is just better. Pick Your Poison. I don't think it's very good in Casual Commander. If you're up against an artifact deck, they're probably just not going to sack the one you want them to get rid of. So, This Obniculus is really slow. I think it just dies. And then Dark Ritual, again, I don't know what we're ritualing into. I'm not super sold on it in this deck. Sire of Insanity. It's like a second Winter. Makes everyone discard other cards. Big Score, Unexpected Windfall. Great in a Delirium deck. And then instead of Pick Your Poison, just play Beast Within. This lets you get rid of artifacts and enchantments, you know? That's true. There is a new Magic Mirror episode out today, which you should watch. It's a good episode. It's also very long. Took me forever to edit. This Winter is a very interesting card, and I really want to play against this deck. I feel like I would have a lot more to say if I see this deck in action, you know? Okay, last list. Back to the other Winter. Couple of changes here. I cut Vile Mutilator. I think it's 7 mana. It is very slow. Twitching Doll, also very slow. Professor Onyx, same deal. We're not making full use of this card. I think it's just going to die. I don't think it's going to get that much value. Deluge of Doom, I think, is worse than just like Toxic Deluge. I think you just play Toxic Deluge. It's been reprinted. It's like $5. In this list, Traverse the Uvenwald, I think, is a potential add. We got a lot of creatures in here that do like different utility. Yeah, end of the streams, they're always going to be winter decks, I guess, if it's, you know, something like that. Temur rules, like Temur's fine, you know. Traverse is like really good with Delirium. It lets you search for a basic. But if you have Delirium, you can search for a creature or any land. Which is great. So I think with the amount of utility creatures we have here, Traverse is really good. And then this deck had a little bit more self-millie kind of stuff in here with like Grizzly Salvage and Grapple with the Past. So I think the Metamorphic Fanatic is pretty good. And then lastly, this deck is meant to be like a mid-rangey, grindy list. I think Ishkanah kind of does that. You get to like make dudes, cause opponents to like lose life. It's very annoying. It gums up the board. And I think it's like a great mid-rangey kind of mid-game threat. You did join late. Yeah, sorry. It was a late stream. I wanted to start earlier, but work was kind of crazy. Oh my goodness, my throat is killing me after talking. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you to everybody for submitting decks. Thanks to everyone for checking out the stream. If you want to submit a deck, check out the Patreon. This one was for November. I had to push it back. So the December one, you can still upload lists for, and I will get to that. Thanks to everyone for watching. Gonna be heading out.